Early morning, November 21st, Booster 18 exploded during cryo testing at Massey. This was the first V3 Super Heavy, SpaceX's most advanced design. The blast likely originated from the aft section or the LOX tank below. What triggered this catastrophic failure? Here's the critical detail. Block 3 is nearly 2 meters longer with thinner tank walls in key areas. Stress concentrates where the LOX tank meets the thrust section. At minus 183 degrees Celsius, even a hairline crack unleashes tons of LOX instantly. Could this design flaw doom Flight 12? Let's break down what actually happened. Booster 18 was going through its 3-stage cryo test: fill, pressurize above flight levels, then vent. Somewhere during that sequence, most likely the pressurization stage, something gave way. The explosion was instant and violent. SpaceX and Elon haven't released a statement yet, but the evidence points to a specific vulnerability. The blast originated from the aft section, possibly near the quick disconnect connection. The other suspect, the LOX tank directly below. When you're dealing with liquid oxygen at minus 183 degrees Celsius under extreme pressure, there's zero room for error. Here's where the V3 design becomes a double-edged sword. SpaceX stretched Booster 18 nearly 2 meters longer than previous versions. More fuel capacity means more performance. But those thinner tank walls they implemented to save weight? They created a weak point exactly where the LOX tank connects to the thrust section. Under immense pressure, that junction bears the concentrated stress of thousands of tons of propellant. Now, picture this scenario. A microscopic crack forms in that critical zone. At cryogenic temperatures, materials behave differently. Steel becomes brittle, tolerances shrink. That tiny fracture suddenly tears open. Liquid oxygen, stored at 100 atmospheres, finds an escape route. Within milliseconds, you've got a catastrophic breach. The explosion we witnessed wasn't just fuel igniting. It was a pressure vessel failing spectacularly. But here's what makes this more than just a setback. Booster 18 had been sitting quietly in Mega Bay 1 for months. On November 18th, after weeks of silence, SpaceX posted road closures. The community knew what was coming. November 19th, late afternoon, there it was, rolling out to Massey. That gleaming stainless steel structure looked flawless. SpaceX even posted stunning shots on X, writing, "Booster 18, the first Super Heavy V3, is beginning pre-launch testing." 24 hours later, it exploded. So what happens now? SpaceX will roll what's left back to Mega Bay 2 for a complete forensic analysis. They'll need to determine if this is a one-off manufacturing defect or a fundamental design issue with the V3 architecture. That investigation could take weeks. And Flight 12, originally scheduled for early January, just 6 weeks away? Those timelines just became extremely optimistic. Meanwhile, Ship 39 tells a different story. Fully stacked on November 16th, this upper stage represents the other half of the Flight 12 equation. The Starship team is methodically checking every section, securing connections, running diagnostics. Word is it'll roll out to Massey within the next week or two, but rolling out means nothing if there's no booster to mate it with. The irony. While Booster 18 was failing, another part of Starbase was executing flawlessly. Over at Pad 1, SpaceX's construction crews were pulling off something remarkable. They'd been cleared to demolish the old OLM to make room for a massive upgrade. New flame trench, new legless design, completely rebuilt infrastructure. Originally planned for early 2026, they moved the timeline up by months. On November 17th, they knocked down the first OLM leg. These weren't small structures. Each leg was engineered to support a fully stacked Starship, 5,000 tons of rocket sitting on 6 massive pillars. From the outside, they looked like indestructible steel columns. 4 days later, 5 legs gone. Only one still standing, and that's probably dust by now. How do you dismantle something built to hold 5,000 tons in under a week? The answer reveals SpaceX's engineering philosophy. Those legs weren't solid steel. Each was a reinforced concrete column wrapped in a protective steel shell. The steel was just armor. The real strength came from the concrete core inside. The demolition process was surgical. First, excavators rip off the steel shield. Then, hydraulic breakers hammer into the concrete core, targeting the lower quarter of each leg. Another excavator pushes from the opposite direction, guiding the fall exactly where they want it. When those legs came down, you could see the exposed concrete and rebar in broad daylight. Dangerous work executed with precision. What comes next is where things get interesting. Beneath those 6 legs lies thousands of tons of broken concrete. Buried under that debris, the deluge plate covered with tiny holes that spray water to counteract the rocket's immense heat during launch. That plate needs to be cleared, extracted, then either reused or scrapped. But removing the surface isn't enough. The concrete foundation piles from the 6 OLM legs go deep. Think of the OLM like a massive tooth. You can't just knock off the crown and call it done. The roots stay unless you extract them. For a truly advanced system, those foundations have to go. Then the real construction begins. They're digging deeper into the center, already a crater from previous launches, to build the new flame trench. This isn't a minor upgrade. We're talking about a rectangular concrete pit, roughly 45 meters long and 8 to 10 meters deep, with sloped walls designed to guide exhaust outward instead of just relying on water suppression. At the center sits the flame bucket, a half-dome steel structure split into 2 halves that can open for maintenance access. At the bottom, a diverter section redirects exhaust to the sides. On top of that, they are integrating Deluge System version 2. The old Pad 1 only sprayed water from the deluge plate under the OLM. The new system? Water sprays from multiple points simultaneously through thousands of small holes in the steel walls. Flow rate, up to 1 million liters per minute. It creates a complete water curtain around the fire. Here's how it works. Water sprays from the highest ridge on the flame bucket down onto the diverter, cooling exhaust as it's redirected to the sides. The steel plate on the OLM acts as the final layer, a continuously circulating, water-cooled deck protecting the mount from temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Celsius. After launch, water collecting at the trench bottom gets pumped back into holding tanks, filtered, and reused. This cuts fresh water requirements by 50 to 70%. They've already tested this system extensively at Pad 2. Pad 1 will operate identically. Once the flame trench is fully poured, coated with heat-resistant fondag, and all steel diverter plates installed, the main event begins. OLM version 2. This new mount bears zero resemblance to what they just demolished. The 6 spider legs, gone, replaced by a monolithic structure anchoring directly into the 4 corners of the flame trench. Picture a massive table spanning across the fire pit. At the base, a water-cooled deck twice as thick as the old deluge plate, with tens of thousands of tiny holes spraying water straight up beneath the booster engines. The booster quick disconnect got completely redesigned, fixed arms on either side of the OLM for faster propellant transfers. But the most critical upgrade, the entire new OLM is modular. Each large section can be lifted out individually. Future repairs or upgrades won't require tearing down the entire pad like this time. Stronger, more durable, far more cost-effective. But that's just the foundation. The real infrastructure build-out comes next. Upgraded deluge water system with new trenches, corrosion-resistant steel piping up to 1 meter in diameter, connected to an expanded tank farm twice the previous size. Early tests already hit 1 million liters per minute without leaks, thanks to 2 additional LOX pumps and 4 new subcoolers, chilling the water before spraying, cutting exhaust temperatures from 3,000 degrees Celsius down to under 500 degrees Celsius in seconds. The fuel delivery system from the tank farm is getting expanded too. An extra methane pump and 2 more subcoolers will reduce Block 3 fueling time from 90 minutes down to 50. The main pipelines, 60 to 80 centimeters in diameter, run buried deep with thick cryogenic insulation. Looking further ahead, SpaceX is building an air separator plant for LOX production, thousands of tons per year, eliminating dozens of tanker trucks traveling miles to deliver propellant. Then there's the regulatory side. The FAA officially lifted the daytime launch ban on November 17th at 6 a.m. Eastern. That restriction, stemming from financial constraints and staffing shortages after the government shutdown, had been choking operations. FAA Administrator Brian Bedford credited improved staffing stability. Transportation Secretary Shaw Duffy noted several consecutive days with strong air traffic control staffing allowed the return to standard operations. For SpaceX, this matters enormously. They rely heavily on daytime launches, especially for regular Starlink missions. Even during the ban, they pulled off 4 nighttime launches, 3 Starlink flights, and the Sentinel-6B ocean mapping mission. That last one marked a major milestone. Falcon 9's return to Landing Zone 4 represented the 500th overall reflown mission of an orbital-class booster. The 500th successful mission using a previously flown Falcon booster. So here's what we're really looking at. Booster 18's explosion exposed a critical weakness in the V3 design, those thinner LOX tank walls, and the stress concentration point where the tank meets the thrust section. At cryogenic temperatures under extreme pressure, that's not just a flaw, it's a ticking time bomb. SpaceX now faces a choice: redesign the tank structure or reinforce that junction point. Either way, it delays Flight 12. But here's what separates SpaceX from everyone else. While Booster 18 was failing at Massey, their crews were demolishing Pad 1's entire OLM in under a week, a structure built to hold 5,000 tons. They're building infrastructure for hundreds of launches per year, while simultaneously solving the hardest engineering problems in real time. That's not recklessness, that's calculated aggression. The Falcon 9 just hit 500 reflown missions. 500 times they've landed and relaunched an orbital-class booster. Every explosion, every setback, every catastrophic test failure has led to that number. Booster 18 won't be the last thing that blows up at Starbase, but it also won't stop what's coming. Flight 12 might slip to February or March. The V3 design will get fixed, and when it does, we'll be watching the most capable rocket ever built take flight. What do you think caused the explosion? Drop your theories in the comments. If you want to stay ahead of every development at Starbase, hit that subscribe button for new space review. Like this video if the V3 design concerns you. Share it with anyone following SpaceX's Mars mission. More updates coming soon.